Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here for this week's Whip and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today, I'm going to be working on my Literate Dragon by Randall Spangler. I am admittedly pretty far behind. I haven't posted for the last couple of days a video because I've not been feeling well. I'm still not up to 100%, but I wanted to get something out today, and I wanted to spend some time actually working on a diamond painting, so that's what I'm doing. This is going to be a bit of a different video today. I basically filmed myself doing the work on the kit, and then I'm doing a voiceover just because I think that's going to make it a little bit easier for me. Like I said, I'm still not 100%. I don't know when I'm going to be actually, so we'll see what happens. So let me start with my life update. And this may be a short whip and chat if I start feeling not well. Apologies in advance, but like I said, I wanted to at least get something out. So, life update. What's been going on in my regular life? Well, in some ways a lot, in some ways not much. Not much because I have been feeling not well. If you notice, my hands are still a little bit shaky as I'm working on this kit, but that's okay. Unfortunately for me, I've just been feeling kind of nauseous, shaky, and I seem to be very, very sensitive to smells. Like my husband likes a lot of like Asian type food, egg rolls, that kind of stuff, and whenever he's cooking it, it just immediately sends my stomach into a tizzy. So sometimes I'm having to hide out in the bedroom so that I can get away from all the smells because it's basically just one open area in our rental for the living room, dining room, kitchen. It's been kind of interesting. I told you guys we'd made an offer on a house, but we've been looking at all of these houses, and I've just kind of been noting all of the differences. So I think I mentioned last time that here, they don't use title companies, which is what I'm familiar with. They use lawyers instead to do the title searches and such. Where I'm from in Kansas, they call it earnest money. Here, they call it a deposit. So it's been interesting to kind of go through the process and just talk with the realtor about how things would go. As we were looking at all of these houses, I told my husband I was pleasantly surprised by the number of houses that have basements. There were quite a few we looked at that just had crawl spaces, but a lot of people around here will rent out their basement, turn it into apartment and rent it out to help out with their mortgage, I guess, or just have a secondary source of income. But in looking at all the houses, I told my husband it's been interesting to see the differences. For example, most of the houses around here, they do not have ensuite bathrooms with masters, which is or was usual where I was in the States. I know it's not like that everywhere, but I just was used to that, and so not having that has been kind of a switch. The kitchens are much smaller, which is also kind of strange. I know when we visited my mother-in-law's house a lot, they have the kitchen itself is big, but there's basically just one wall of cabinets, and that's where the sink is, and then there's very limited counter space. The stove kind of free floats on a wall next to the wood stove, and then opposite that on a different wall kind of free floats where their refrigerator is. And so looking at a lot of these houses and seeing just how much counter space there isn't has been kind of eye-opening too, which isn't a big deal for me. I don't do a lot of cooking, but I do bake, so it'd be nice to have some space to kind of spread out to do some baking and whatnot. Anyway, it's just been really interesting. The house that we are hopefully going to get only has one bathroom, which is not something I was looking for. I really wanted something that had two. My husband tells me it'll be easy enough to put a second powder room basically down in the basement, but we'll see what happens. I don't know after purchasing a house how much money we're going to want to spend to fix up a bunch of stuff or do things like add in a powder room right away because we didn't bring really much furniture with us. We have a couple of pieces. We need beds, we need mattresses, we need a dining room table, we need a sofa. I think other than that, those will be our first purchases. Bed frames, I just want something inexpensive. That's what we had before and they work just fine. Mattresses, I don't know where we're going to end up looking for those. A sofa, I definitely want a nice sofa because that's going to go by the wood stove. And since that's where I want to spend a lot of my time curled up with my blanket and my hot chocolate next to the wood stove. So there's that. Hopefully, I think there'll be space for me to have like a separate, not really separate, but at least a dedicated area for my diamond painting and filming. Fingers crossed anyway that everything goes cool. Other than that, what's been going on? Not a super ton of things. Like I said, a lot of it has been taken up with looking at houses and stuff and going to that. Other than that, I've just kind of been sitting around and not doing a whole lot. I've been reading books and doing that kind of thing, taking some notes on various things. I watch a lot of videos on how to be more organized, how to set goals, how to achieve your goals, that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but one of the things I saw this week was something called a dopamine journal. Have you guys ever heard of these? If you've heard of them or you kept one, leave me a comment down below and let me know your experience. Basically, people are starting to kind of unplug. I don't know if this is a cyclical thing. I don't know if this is in response to just people have hit the tipping point with social media. I don't really like social media myself. I'm not really on them much. I don't have any personal accounts. I have a couple of accounts for the diamond painting channel, but I feel like it's a big time suck and I have other things that I would rather be doing. In fact, I recently went and put like a timer thing on my phone so that it times out and I can't access like social media apps after a certain amount of time. I don't ever hit the limit, so I figure I'm doing good that I haven't hit it. But anyway, so these dopamine journals are about finding things to occupy your time to give your brain that dopamine hit that it gets when you're doom scrolling, is what everybody's calling it these days, I guess. So instead of, scrolling through, seeing how bad everything is, because I can't remember who, but somebody on the internet somewhere, I saw a thumbnail that said the internet is a rage machine, that's what it runs on. The more ragey it makes someone, the more traction it gets. And so it's kind of just become, not everywhere. I like to think there are places on YouTube and probably other social media as well that are not quite that bad, but I avoid most social media, so I wouldn't know anyway. But these dopamine journals are ways to give yourself that dopamine hit that don't involve your phone, basically. So this one girl that I watched setting up she set it up like a restaurant menu. So she had like appetizers, and it was things that only took like 15 minutes. She had, doodle in a sketchbook was one of the things that she could do. I forget what some of the other ones are, but she had it set up as, entrees and sides and desserts, things that the entrees were things that took more time. So maybe that was going to see a movie or going for a walk with a friend, something like that, just to give your brain that hit of dopamine without having to resort to technology to do it. And I thought it was a really interesting idea. I mean, I tried to get out of the house, haven't really this last week, but I try to get out of the house on a regular basis. My son and I go for walks. Hubby and I have gone for a couple of drives around the area we're staying in just so I can get more familiar with it, but also to explore kind of some of the more outlying areas and see everything. Because there are some pretty spread out neighborhoods, not even neighborhoods, spread out cities, not too far from where we are. So you can drive 30 minutes and you feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so I was reading about dopamine journals and was interested in those. The other thing that I was reading was, you guys know that I set goals every year for the diamond painting channel. I actually set goals every year for myself as well. I just don't share those on the channel. But I think I shared last time, somebody was talking about breaking your yearly goals down into quarters like businesses do. And then I saw another video and they were talking about making sure that you set goals that you can control. So for instance, A good goal for me for the channel might not be the number of subscribers that I get, because I can't control who subscribes to the channel. But maybe a good goal would be something like, I'm going to produce X number of videos for the year. And the reason they gave for setting down these goals and then breaking them down is because if you measure it, then you can improve it. If you're not measuring it, then how do you know where you are and whether you or not you've made improvements? So I started breaking things down into quarters and doing all of that with my diamond painting goals. And then I started kind of actually writing down some personal goals and trying to figure out what do those look like with the goals that I've set for myself. So one of the things that I would like to do for personal goals, I need to drink more water. I'd like to walk more often. I don't get enough quality sleep, so I definitely want to try and improve that. But then there's also things like I want to travel back to the United States 4 times a year so that I can see family. That's a measurable goal. Did I make it back 4 times a year? But then how am I going to break that down so that I have actionable things so that I know I'm working towards that goal? How much money do I need to buy a plane ticket? Am I going to stay with family, or do I need to pay for a hotel? What does that all equal up to? So, how much money do I need to save or earn, or whatever the case may be, so that I can do that? Hubby and I were talking about other things that we could do too, that we could maybe do from home. I already do the YouTube channel, of course, and I have plans to do a second one. But we were also talking about, are there other things we could be doing? Things like, could I be tutoring? Could I be consulting? Could I edit for other channels? Things like that. There's lots of things he and I are constantly talking about because we watch a lot of the History Channel. Oak Island is back on. Spoiler, they still haven't found the treasure, but I love watching the show anyway. So we've been watching that, but as we were talking about it, we watched them consult with all of these people, and we watched a couple of other shows on the History Channel as well this week because I wasn't doing a whole lot else. And some of these shows that we're watching, it's like, this person's job is what? How do you get a job like that? That's nothing that my, guidance counselor at school ever told me. Oh, this is a job you could have. Just amazing. And, things that you find on YouTube as well. It's like, seriously, that could be a job? How do you get there? Just, I think hubby and I have just been chatting lots and lots and lots this week because we've both just been sitting at home, basically, me not feeling good. So I've been doing a lot of napping. You'd think that you would get caught up on your sleep by napping, but I guess it doesn't really work that way. The weather has been interesting too because it's gotten actually pretty cold here, at least for me. Everyone around here keeps telling me it's a very mild winter, and I've bought layers. I bought a new coat, I bought new boots, I've got thermal leggings, and I've got wool socks, and I'm still freezing. My husband and I talking about it. I don't know if some of this is related to my thyroid nodules. I don't know if some of this is just me getting acclimated, but it's cold. Everyone else is like, oh, wait until it gets to minus below, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm still trying to figure out how to convert Celsius and Fahrenheit easily in my head. I do have my little chart up on the refrigerator, but more often than not, I just leave my phone where I have the apps that I look at the weather. I just leave it in Fahrenheit because that makes more sense to my brain. I was reading somewhere that basically everyone but the US uses Celsius, but that people have argued that Fahrenheit is more accurate, or at least more intuitive if it's not more accurate, because 0 being freezing cold and 100 being hot makes sense to people, versus 32, what is it? 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius to what something in the high 30s is super hot for Celsius. So I mean, I think it's just what you grow up with. It's Fahrenheit seems more intuitive to me, but that's all I've known. So, I mean, I knew about the Celsius scale, but nobody uses it, or at least in the States. So, Canada has been a weird mix of metric and imperial. So, Like gasoline is sold in liters, but they measure miles per gallon. Other things are in metric measurement weights, but like they still take your weight in pounds. So it's a weird mix of things sometimes. Also, because it has snowed, at least more than it snowed back home, usually. I think back home has gotten more snow lately than us, but in general, more snow here. I didn't realize I saw a little, it's like a little mini snowplow, but for sidewalks. And after the big snowplows had gone through and plowed the big roads, it was like this little mini snowplow. It almost looked like a little mini ATV with a plow on the front, and it was plowing the sidewalks, which I thought was kind of funny. It'd be nice if they did that back home. I guess we just don't have it often enough that it's worth investing in equipment like that, but just interesting things. I saw my first armored truck today, which is a bit weird. I mean, of course they have armored trucks, they have businesses and everything just like everyone else, but I'd never seen one, so it's just kind of some of those things that make me stop and go, huh, okay. Hubby was flipping through the channels today, stopped on some ice skating championships that were happening, and as we were watching it, we realized it was being held in Kansas. And I was like, oh man, I wish we'd still been there. I would have gone to see it if I'd known that. I love to watch ice skating. I don't know what they were competing for, but I just thought it was really interesting that it was in Kansas. And then as we're watching the ice skating, I had actually gotten a roll out of the cabinet to eat because I realized I hadn't really eaten anything today. And I'm sitting there kind of ripping the pieces of this roll and eating it. And all of a sudden, I look at the one in my hand and I realize it's got mold on it. So I was like, well, here's hoping that I didn't eat any of the mold that was on here. I think it was just that one little spot. I looked at what was left and I'd only eaten about half of it. So I don't think I ate any of it, but it was like, well, I guess I'm going to throw this away. My dad would have just laughed and told me, oh, it's just extra penicillin, but yeah, not my favorite thing. I think I mentioned to you guys that we bought a second car, so we finally got it into the shop and got the remote start installed, and they changed out one of the headlights for us. One of the headlights had condensation in it, so I guess that meant that some seal somewhere was broken and it would short out the bulb, so they replaced that for us. So now I have, they don't call it remote start here, they call it command start, but same thing. So we can start the car from inside the house and let it warm up before we go get in it. And because I've been freezing the last week or so, that has been nice. We'd actually had 2 cancellations. When we bought the car, we were supposed to bring it in the next week and get it done, and they called and canceled and moved it to the week after that, and then they called and canceled again and moved it to Friday. So we finally got it finished. And it's been nice to have that. Hubby has been driving that car more than his car because he likes having the remote start. So yeah, it's just been kind of a weird week. And I apologize. I know this whip and chat is going to be kind of all over the place, but I don't think my brain is at 100% yet. So sometimes you just get what you get, right? I need to contact my nephew. He was supposed to be starting some online classes his first semester in college, and I wanted to check in with him and see how he was doing. I sent him a message wishing him good luck that first day, but I haven't really heard from him since then, so I need to get that done. I think that's everything I wanted to tell you guys about my regular life, which is probably going to be the biggest chunk of this. Not that I've been doing a lot in my regular life, but I certainly have done more in my regular life than I've done diamond painting. So, what's going on in my diamond painting life? Well, unfortunately, not a whole lot. Like I said, I'm behind on everything. I would love to have already had 2 kits completed by now, and I'm not even finished with one. I'm still working on the spangler, and I'm trying to tell myself that's okay. One spangler done a quarter, and then if I go back and look at how my goals break down, if I want to finish my 36 kits for the year, I need to get 10 kits done in the next 2 months. But I am planning on doing quite a few smaller ones, so hopefully, I think the Bubble Girl one, that's the little mermaid with the octopus that you guys all like so much from the stash video, it's the same size as this Spangler one that I'm working on. So I don't know if I'm going to jump into that one next. I might jump into the one with the butterfly and the teacup just because it's smaller and I'll be able to finish it and that will make it feel like a win. We'll see where I'm at once I get done with this first spangler. I'm enjoying the spangler, but it is an older Diamond Art Club kit, so it is gappier than the newer kits, and so that is a little fiddly sometimes, which makes it not as fun as it might be. But I am enjoying how it's turning out. I think I finally got to the head of the dragon. I am over halfway done, so I think I just have a couple of rows left, and then that one will be done and I can move on. Hopefully, I hope to finish that one by the end of January. Sucks that that's only going to be the only thing I get done in January, but maybe after everything gets completely settled, if we get this house and we're in a permanent place and I have some place where I can set up and leave things out and I'm not taking up space in rooms that other people are using, things like that, then I'll be able to do some more concentrated work and get some things done. That's the plan anyway, because I do have big plans. I want to do the Bubble Girl one, like I said. I want to do the butterfly one, which I need to still kit up. So you'll probably see that video soon of me kitting up that one. I want to finish the Spangler, so hopefully you'll be seeing the post-completion review of that one shortly. And then I have a couple of other projects that I would like to do. I really would like to work on one of my Heaven and Earth designs and start using up my spares. I've got most of the spares pulled for the big Heaven and Earth mermaid kit. So I think what I want to do is each quarter I want to try and get a quarter of that kit done. So I don't know if she'll show up in whipping chats. I don't know for sure if that's even how it's going to work out, but that's what I have written down as a goal. I may not make it. That's okay. Like I said, we're in a temporary place. Hopefully we'll be moving someplace permanent, but once we find out or find a permanent house, then we've got to move everything that's with us in the rental, inside the rental, and the stuff that's still in our trailer, move that to a permanent house. We've got stuff at my mother-in-law's house that we need to go pick up and get. We've got new things that we need to purchase just to round it out so that we have a place to sit, a place to eat, that kind of thing. So I don't know, especially this first quarter of the year, how on track I'm going to be for my goals, but I can always change my goals, right? I wanted to try and get 36 kits done. If that isn't how it works out, I can always lower the goal to 25. And if I hit that, then I'm good. I think the biggest things that I want to hit are the 4 spanglers completed, and 1 spangler every quarter seems completely doable. The other ones are not as big as the one I'm currently doing, I don't think. They might be. My memory is shot at the moment, so who knows. And I want to make my 1,000 diamond painting hours. I didn't make 1,000 last year, but I'd like to make it this year, so we'll see how I do with that. And I really want to reduce my stash, which I think I will be able to do simply because we still don't know what our work situation is going to be like. Hubby is in the process of figuring out whether or not he wants to go back to work and storm, whether he wants to go back to a 9 to 5 type job, whether he wants to officially retire. He can't collect Social Security until he's a minimum of 62. I don't know if that's how it works here in Canada or not. We'll have to find out. Yeah, just lots of stuff to learn, lots of stuff to figure out, and I don't know where all my goals are going to fall. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I was talking about reducing my stash because we don't know what the job situations are going to be. At least for the moment, I'm not spending a whole lot of money on diamond painting stuff. My goal had been to buy from Canadian companies, and I still plan to do that. I did actually buy 1 kit, which I've already shown you guys, but I don't know how much other stuff I'm going to be buying, at least for this first quarter. Maybe once we hit spring, things will pick up a little bit. I know it seems weird to be thinking about spring already. Everyone tells me I should enjoy it because this is kind of spring weather, so we'll see. Hopefully it's a little bit warmer. Either that or I'll get used to the cold, or maybe I'll just make more trips back home than I originally planned on. We'll see how that goes. And of course, that depends on whether or not I end up getting a job outside of home as well, what kind of vacation time I have to be traveling and that sort of thing. So yeah, not a ton of stuff going on, like I said, with the diamond painting because I've been not feeling so great this week. Hopefully, it's just some kind of stomach bug. Some days I feel fine, and then the next day I'm right back where I was the day before. And yeah, it's a little tiresome, but I am feeling a little bit better today, and I wanted to get a video done so that I could get it out to you guys. All right, I think that's it. So you can see I got some done on this. The little globe is pretty much finished. Now there's basically just the top part of the dragon and all of the books on the bookshelves behind him. So I figure it's going to be quite a bit of multi-placing. Hopefully that will go a lot faster than some of the more pattern stuff that I was doing, the dragon and the dragon scales, the pattern on its jacket, that sort of thing. And I'll be able to finish it up pretty quickly. So maybe before the end of the month, I'll be able to move on to something else. We'll see. Fingers crossed. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around for this short but rambly video. I really appreciate it. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.